In this video, I'm going to cover 6 tips on how you can save money while you're in college. The first is to set a budget. The most important part in establishing your spending plan is analyzing what your income will be per month, whether it be money from your parents, student loans, or best yet, a part-time job. This should only take 20 to 30 minutes, and you should do it at the beginning of the semester or quarter. Your actual expenses might change a little from month to month, but the most important part is that you have a general outline to follow. You will want to focus on how much you can spend on food, entertainment, transportation, and books for the semester. Once you see everything together, you can figure out what you can cut down on to save a certain amount. If you are a freshman living in the dorms, you will most likely be required to buy a dining hall meal plan, and this will make creating your spending plan a little easier. But one thing to watch out for is how much you go out to eat with friends, because this will add up quickly. When you enter into college, you will finally be on your own and will be responsible for your own finances. Take this time in college when you have a limited income to build good habits now. One great way to tackle all your spending is by using the free app and online service Mint. This is not a sponsored video or anything, but rather it's something I have personally used to keep track of my own finances. Tip number 2 is to find a part-time job. A great way to improve your spending plan is by obtaining a part-time job while you're in college. A part-time job will give you extra income to do fun things with friends, go out to eat, travel on the weekends, and eat healthier and more luxuriously than mac and cheese or top ramen. One of the most convenient places to work at is your school. On-campus jobs are perfect for students because these jobs are typically more flexible with your school schedule. You can find on-campus jobs at your gym, bookstore, restaurants, dining hall, or grading for professors. Another option you might want to consider is becoming an RA or resident advisor for the dorms at your school after your first year. This is a great option for students looking to save money on room and board because most schools will give you free housing in exchange for being an RA, which can easily save you $10,000 for the year. Number 3 is to steer clear of tempting credit card offers by the banks on your campus. Although it is important to build credit if you're trying to finance a car or get an apartment, waiting until you graduate college and having a monthly income is most likely the best decision for most students. It's important to realize that credit cards are not free money. Whatever you spend on a credit card, you will need to pay off at the end of the month. The difference between a debit card and a credit card is that with a credit card you are billed at the end of the month for your spending, whereas a debit card is linked to your checking account and the money comes out immediately. If you use your credit card to maybe buy a meal each month and you always pay it off, then awesome. You'll build credit and won't gather any fees or interest payments. But many students go overboard since they don't have to pay the money back immediately. Tip number 4 is to not buy new textbooks, and ideally don't buy from your university's bookstore. You should always rent, buy used, borrow from a friend, or find a free PDF version. You can save hundreds of dollars each quarter or semester simply by renting or purchasing used textbooks, which can add up to at least $1,000 if not more in savings over the course of your college career. Just to show you an example, I looked up a book called Fundamentals of Engineering Thermodynamics, a required book for mechanical engineering students. At the university bookstore I checked out, it was $200 to buy used and $228 to buy new. That same book sells used for $150 on Amazon, and you can rent it on Amazon for $50. There's also Chegg, which is a popular site to rent books. A website I personally used was slugbooks.com. All you do is type in the book you want to look up, and it looks up a bunch of different websites and tells you the prices of the book at all of them and whether it's to rent it or to buy it. In addition to buying used textbooks, you should always wait to buy the book until you attend the first class session to see if you actually need the textbook. First week of every quarter or semester is primarily used for taking attendance and going over the syllabus, and with services like Amazon and Chegg that can get you a textbook in 2 days, there's really no need to buy the textbook ahead of time unless the professor specifically tells you there will be homework due in the first week of the term. Lastly, if you think you will very rarely need the textbook and don't want to rent or buy the book, your library should have a couple copies on reserve. However, it is important to know that come midterms and finals week, you and your classmates might be competing to check out the same book. Number 5 is to learn financial literacy. Begin investing in yourself and start learning the basics of financial literacy. The best way to do this is through personal finance books and podcasts. Reading for recreation is often a challenge during the school year because of the volume of reading assignments, homework, papers, and labs, so an alternative is listening to books on Audible or listen to podcasts while you are walking to class. Start educating yourself on the basic retirement accounts like an IRA and a 401k. When I started my first job as an engineer, the second day I had to set up my 401k. Once I got to the page I needed, it gave me options to invest in small cap stocks, large cap stocks, bonds, international equities, and more. And my boss, as well as yours, will not explain this to you. It's all on you. Luckily, there's often an option for you to set a year you will likely retire, so for those starting out, it might be a 40-year plan, and they invest the money for you. But if you have more experience in this, then you can control where your investments go. And I don't know about everyone else, but as an engineer, no class I ever took taught me about investing, stocks, or bonds, but luckily I taught myself a little about this before graduating. If not, I would have had no idea what any of these terms meant. You should learn the difference between a Roth and a traditional IRA or 401k, and possibly start investing when you come across some extra cash. The most important part is you know the basics of financial literacy so you are ready for when you graduate college. 3 books that I have found helpful in understanding the basics of personal finance include I Will Teach You to Be Rich, The Total Money Makeover, and Money Master the Game. Just by reading these books, you will pick up the basics and be prepared to be financially responsible for when you graduate college. And last is to understand your student loans. When planning your spending plan, you want to look at how much money you will need for school. One huge mistake students make is that they take out more student loans than they actually need. Unlike any other loan, student loans stay with you forever until they are paid off. You cannot declare bankruptcy on them and make them go away like you could a car loan. It's important to look into which loans you qualify for, know the interest rates, and always know the principal balance you owe. Let's break this down. If you have student loans at 7% interest per year and have to pay them off in 10 years, here's what your monthly payments would look like. And just remember how much your interest increases the total you'll pay over the 10 years. So for example, if you take out $40,000 in loans at 7%, at the monthly payment over 10 years, you'll pay $55,680. That means you pay 39% more than what you took out. 7% didn't seem so bad, but it's more than you probably think. And look at this. If you can manage to take out $30,000 instead and pay it off over 10 years, you'll pay a total of about $42,000. So look at that. By taking out $10,000 less in student loans, you spend over $13,000 less over the 10 years. So you see, every scholarship, every early payment, taking that RA job for free room and board, or renting the textbook will seriously help. Because saving X amount on loans now really means you're saving more later on. And just a disclaimer, know that there are different types of loans out there, and you will likely have many with different interest rates, so make sure you know what applies to you. In addition, students should not take out more student loans than their projected first-year annual income. When you get to college, it is a good idea to go to your financial aid center at your school at least 1 to 2 times a year so that you can stay up to date on information about your student loans, grants you might be eligible for, and scholarships. If you are getting student loans, you will need to apply for FAFSA every year. And lastly, it's important to know who your loan provider is, what type of loans you're receiving, and how much you are taking out every quarter or semester. In conclusion, it's crucial for students to implement good spending behaviors early. No one is going to learn personal finance for you. Start with these financial tips and grow from here. And as a final tip, one thing that gets overlooked by young people because retirement feels so far away is that they don't start saving as soon as possible. Remember, if you put $1,000 into a retirement account at 20 years old, it will be worth around $15,000 at retirement if the market does well. Doesn't seem like a lot, but starting early allows that compounding interest to happen even faster. This will be covered extensively in the personal finance books listed before, but it is never too early to set aside money for your retirement. We live in a time where retirement age is being pushed back and where Social Security pensions will be a thing of the past. The simplest approach to personal finance and savings for retirement is using the 80-20 rule, using 80% of your earnings on your bills and expenses, then 10% for long-term savings, and 10% on yourself. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.